On the Tavisha case, here's my message to all women. Some of us are women with sons, some of us are young girls who's looking to get married. Some of us maybe are already mothers-in-law. And here is a message from Neetu Kapoor that I'm putting out here, which she said in a recent podcast, that I don't just go and enter my son's house, even though they live in the same building, because they have a certain privacy. It's their home, and I completely understand that. So I don't just barge in and interfere. Now, when she said this, I realized that as a mother, I have always come from this sort of a thinking that when my kids grow up and they become adults, and when they choose to marry, they are going to build life on their own terms with their partners, on the basis of their priorities and preferences, which may not necessarily align with mine. And I find it funny, and especially in the Indian context, when parents talk about adult kids, married kids, like as if they are children. They fail to understand that your children are not an extension of yourself. Their life is not an extension of your life. A lot of parents operate with that idea, and therefore they come out with these sort of diktats, like you hear Tavisha's mother-in-law saying, "पौधों में पानी नहीं दिया और खाना नहीं बनाती है." I mean, what are you saying here? Like, in the sense that just because someone has come and integrated into your family, by the way, a lot of families have that compulsion because the sons or the daughters are inheriting the family wealth, the family business, the family profession, and they are in some way tied professionally. So that space becomes personal as well as a bit of a professional dynamic, since it's a family setup of business that you work in, and therefore you are expected to work within that ecosystem. A lot of families are like that, I do understand. But even in such a scenario, the couple, the married couple who has come into the son who has brought in another member of the family into the house, has to understand that they are, even within that setup, they are a separate entity. They don't have to completely merge into and lose their own sense of self and completely merge into this culture. They don't necessarily have to do it unless they do it by choice. So it is up to the sons actually to realize that just because you, or maybe even a daughter, if she's the one inheriting the profession or is living in that ecosystem, that if she brings in a partner into this ecosystem, you cannot expect that partner who has grown up in a different setup with a different understanding of family dynamics to simply come into this like fish to water and adjust with everything. It's not natural for anybody, for that matter, to completely fit in. It takes time sometimes, and sometimes it never happens. Now, the point I'm trying to make is, it is for the couple to understand that either we find a way to adjust within this ecosystem, since we are drawing from here, since our professional interest is tied to the family. So we have to now find a way of adjusting to this ecosystem, and these are our boundaries, and this is how we will operate, and a consensus is built. Of course, that could take time. Or the couple decides to break free, have the courage to break free. Whatever it is, it has to be a decision of the couple. And I don't understand how a mother-in-law can come in, or a father-in-law can come in and dictate terms, with impunity. So then you are treating your sons and your daughters-in-law like employees. They're not your employees who has to water the plants and do their cooking and stick to your timing of things. It's absurd. So I am least surprised that Tavisha must have been extremely uncomfortable, being an accomplished woman herself, to adjust to all of this, to your way of operating in life, being somebody who was a beauty pageant winner, who has worked in foreign companies, an MBA graduate, who's seen the world, been there, done that, to be told to do this or do that. And her mother-in-law quotes her in a very vitriolic manner that she used to say this, that मैं भैंस नहीं हूँ कि खाऊं और बच्चा पैदा करूं. I can understand that sort of internal dialogue going on in her head. But why do you put yourself in a situation like that? Why would you not have this entire conversation with your partner ahead of time? What is the desperation to be a married woman as if that's a badge of honor? I think that is a very critical point here. Being married is not a badge of honor. Absolutely not. And now, as more and more cases are coming out, more and more, it is obvious that there are more bad marriages there are more compromises in these sort of setups that are so forced. The ideal thing is for the couple to set up their own world on their own terms without dependence on their parents. And of course, some amount of codependence is always there and is always nice, but it should not be a compulsion. If there is a compulsion, that itself is a problem, first of all, because anybody who has that influence over your life by virtue of the fact that you're drawing from them in any way will exercise control. So the first thing to understand is that either you sign up for that because you will be under some sort of control if you are drawing from somebody else's groundwork and then you are benefiting as a child, as a son or a daughter-in-law, because someone else had set up that business and set up that family or done the groundwork, then you obviously come in as a benefactor, and therefore there will be some amount of control exercised over you. That's how the world works. There are no free lunches, as they say, and that extends to families as well, by the way. So what I'm trying to say, in fact, is that if couples understand this, and then they take a decision that yes, we are willing to live within the rules of this ecosystem, because what we are getting in here is much greater than what we would be able to do on our own. Either you reconcile to that and find a way to adjust, or you break free. The problem that happens here is that you don't even have these uncomfortable discussions or necessary discussions before you sign up for something like that, for something like this, and then all hell breaks loose. It's too late. Tempers run high, emotions are running wild, there are flare-ups, and that robs you sometimes of your basic sanity. Sometimes you lose the power to even think, to make rational decisions, because you are so clouded by things that were said and by the hurt and the humiliation, and it just drives you crazy, and you're no longer in your best of mind or mental framework to even decide for yourself. Why would you put yourself in that situation? My message to all women are that take control of your lives. If you are a young girl, have this conversation with your partner that what exactly am I signing up for when I get into this marriage with you? I love you. I find you extremely interesting and attractive, and I love your company, and I want to be with you for life. But what is it that comes with the package? Be aware of that. Awareness sometimes is the key. And then comes acceptance. And then when you learn to accept that, okay, I signed up for this, and now either I live within these rules or I exit, have the courage to exit. Even when after a consensus, say after you decide on certain terms, you feel, okay, it was not a right decision for me. Do have the courage to exist. Life is very long. There are always opportunities out there. And don't be afraid to take the hard route to happiness. Thanks for watching.